Good afternoon. Welcome back to Trader Minute. It's great to have you on board here. Looking at a chart of Microsoft, and as mentioned during the day today, if it closes below the 7, we're going to take it. Yeah, you could argue that 38's holding. It might hold 38 and move higher. There's a good chance of that. But right now, the fresh setup, I'm going to move that above the 7 like that is off the table now. So we're going to exit. Going to exit our position here in Microsoft, take a small gain, and look for a fresher setup tomorrow for the challenge. So I've got that all set up right here. We're going to sell these, confirm it, and send it. We got out for a price of 158. So again, we just exited our Microsoft position at 158. If we go over here, look at the chart of Microsoft. It's dropped down. It's just gone flat. It hasn't gone. It's been up a little bit, down a little bit overall. It's just been in a tight little channel here this afternoon. Yeah, it had a nice looking setup yesterday. Went against us today, so we hopped back out of the trade. Looking for a fresher setup tomorrow. Take this small loss and move on. Okay. Did I say small gain? Small loss. If I said small gains, I apologize. Take that small loss and move on. I heard somebody. I might have said small gains. Sorry about that. I'm pretty an optimistic type of a guy, but this was a small loss. As far as position on in Tesla, it's still there. It's pulled back off the highs. Nothing concerning. This little bit of a pullback. I still like the bullishness here above the 140 mark, and it's really nice. Yeah, you guys. Sorry, I meant small loss. Sorry. I did hear somebody say. I think it was Darren. I think you bought puts on this, and you jumped out this morning with a little bit of a gain. Yeah, take my microphone away, right? Can't take my keyboard, but take my mic away sometimes. So jumping out with a small loss on Microsoft. Thank you. Okay, so there's been a lot of chat in here in the top three, and I love it when you guys send me stories saying, "Hey, I made this much money," or you have questions. I mean, I love hearing from you guys, and you know that if you email me, and I keep getting emails a couple weeks in a row now from one of our members, and what he does, he trades the top three, and he'll stay in the trade 1 or 2 days and then just get out. He says he will not stay in past 2 days. And if it comes a second day, he just exits and gets out. Even if he thinks there's more upside, he just still exits. And for the last 2 weeks, 1100 and then 900 last week is what he's done on them. I haven't heard from him this week. We had some of those trades run against us. We did not do a top three yesterday. I did some runner-ups. Baidu was one of those, and I know some of you jumped into that and have made some money. So congratulations! It was a runner-up yesterday, as well as CME, and it's down slightly. It's right there on the 7, and then one of the other ones was Beezer, BZH, and this one's up. And I had some good news from Toll Brothers, which is another. Yeah, Martin, I couldn't argue that. If with Microsoft, it's holding the 38. It could get another bounce. And we might look to trade this back up. I mean, go back to Microsoft. It just takes the bullish nature off for a little bit. It doesn't mean it's a trend changer, right? We just wanted to get out. Our stop was a close below the 7, and so that's what we're sticking to. We're not going to let that run against us. If it breaks 38, I'd get more bearish, but it's holding 38. So if you look at it this way again, let's go back to a vibe. We'll be watching this maybe tomorrow whoa, sorry about that, for a re-entry. So you had a break yesterday with a buy bull signal. Today it's closing below the 7, right? So it takes the bullishness off. Again, that's short term. It's not long term on a close below the 7. It takes the bullishness off for a while. So you got all the averages still rising. Nothing changed there. If you get another candle like this tomorrow, oops, wrong button. Another push like that tomorrow, say similar to what we saw over there, hey, another bull vibe signal. We might jump back in the trade. But it just took the bullishness off of the trade for us. Just jumped out. Yeah, you're risking a little bit more if you stayed in. We just no, we don't want to. We don't want another trade going against it. We were about break even on the challenge right now, and we're going to keep it and move on to the next trade. Okay, so back to the top three. We had Mosaic. This was a trend rider bear signal. A pretty volatile group of stocks, but this is a great looking signal. Now, there was some news out on them yesterday, and I got an email on this saying, hey, Mosaic they're buying back 47 million of their shares. That's true, but they're Class A shares. There's Class A restricted shares. They're not the common stock. Okay, so they're spending a ton of money to buy those back, and that might be the news right here. They're spending a ton of money to buy back their Class A restricted shares, not their common shares. That might why we see the price going down here. Down to about the 44 range is where I'd see this going. You'd have a decent little gain there. Is where I'd get out on Mosaic. Okay, the other one was Time Warner. Time Warner, nice little reversal action yesterday. So yesterday it triggered a vibe bull and it gapped higher and ran higher. The gapping action always makes me a little bit nervous. That's not much of a gap. So, but I didn't see it yesterday. But after today's action, where it gapped down yesterday, gapped down slightly yesterday and ran down, gapped up slightly yesterday, ran down back below the 7, pretty on some big moves. That looks really bearish. But to see that reverse today in pretty much a bullish engulfing pattern on some pretty good volumes, that's good volumes today. Is very bullish for this stock to run higher. And this would be a vibe entry, a bull vibe signal. It's got the decent volumes there, which you don't always need, but on a stock that's had this little bit of a pattern down here. Another way you could look at this too is you've got the descending triangle, which you could call this a wedge pattern, since wedges are more reversal types, breaking out to the upside after a failed attempt like that to go lower. It's held that level nicely. This is a good looking bull vibe signal up to about the $68 range, about another $1.50 higher if you went December options here. I'd go. I wouldn't go very many contracts. I'd probably go first strike in the money, and I'd probably be out by Friday. I wouldn't hang on to this very long. Second strike in the money, they're about twice as expensive as the first strike in. So if I did that, I would do very few contracts, and I'd take a quick pop and be out by Friday. I wouldn't stay in very long, just because the options are so close to expiration. And you're going one strike in. I would not let that get away from me at all. That's why I'd go a little bit less amount that you'd normally buy as far as contracts goes. All right, and then the last one here was Key. It's still bullish. You guys, it's still bullish. I'd like to see that push above 13. It doesn't take a lot away from the bullish nature of it. It's going to have some pretty decent volumes here, and which again is nice to have. You don't always need them in a bull vibe signal because you're playing the overall trend here. It's likely to break higher. I wanted that to push above 13. It's not doing it, and this is outperforming the others. If you look at the Zions and well, let's go look at them. BKs, sold off today. Look at the Zions, these other stocks in the same group, selling off today. Yet you look at Key, bullish. It's a good looking signal, and it could run higher. I just wanted that push above 13. It puts a little bit more odds in the favor. Okay. Jay, we're not going to jump into anything else tonight. No, we got about a half an hour left. I thought about it. There are some decent signals, but nothing good enough. I didn't want to jump out, then jump right back in to something else. I wanted to spread it out. Not that we won't do that. We've done that in the past, but we're going to look for another trade tomorrow. And there's some pretty promising looking setups. Now, I mean, some stocks we're looking at, you guys. U.S. Steel. I got MACD down, but you look at this through the eyes of a trend rider. It's trapped. It's too early to go any which way here now. It's in this tight channel right here. The bands are tight. They're still contracting a little bit. This is setting up for a nice trade. You just got to let it show us which way it's got to show us its hand, right? It's got to show its hand. Which way is this thing going to go? Is it going to break into the upper Bollinger Band? Is it going to break in the lower band? What's it going to do? I talked to Jeff recently and said, because on this day right here, and I told him, I said, Jeff, look at that. It's coming down to that lower band, but there's a good chance that it's going to hit the band and bounce higher. When they get in these ranges, you got to let it show. You got to let it show you the hand of which way it's most likely going to go. And that hand, when it's showing it to you, is when it breaks into these bands. If the bands are contracting, then it's likely to be resistance, as this was support here as the band was contracting or going sideways. So right now you got to let it show which way it's going to go. Whichever way it goes, it's going to be a very promising signal. Another one here. Oh, looking forward to this one, whichever way it goes. I'd love to see this break to the downside. If this breaks to the downside, happy day for put options. But not there yet. The bands are contracting. You can see the bands today. That band is pushing up to the price. You notice held it as a little bit of support. It's got to maybe consolidate, and if it breaks down into the lower band, so if you get something like this type of action, where's the bottom? There's not much of a bottom there, maybe 61, and it would be about above 64, but not yet. It's not happening yet. We're going to watch that one and see if it happens. It's hitting the lower band. There's a chance this might break up into the upper band at this point. So you got to let it show you which way it's going to go. This is Colgate, CL. Procter & Gamble, if it's closing below the 7, I would get out. Let's go look at it. And there wasn't any news on these today, you guys. Wasn't any news on Microsoft, Procter & Gamble, and some of these trades. It just, the market pulled back a little bit. They sold off a little bit. See, this is one of those tough calls. One of those tough calls, Jay. It's right on the 7. And so the question is, and there's not really anything telling us. It's hard to predict day by day by day price action. You can trade the predictable moves, but the day by day stuff is tough to do. So it's right on the 7. Now it comes down to this. It's going to be a personal decision, just because, well, it's on the 7. Has it broken any huge levels of support? No. I'd say 83 is a bigger level of support for it. But is it going to bounce up off the 7 tomorrow? Is it going to run lower tomorrow? That's the question. And I don't have a crystal ball that works good enough. Mine broke a while back. Darn it. To tell you, because that's just one of those. I mean, as we always say, a stop below the 7. Yeah, like Microsoft closing below the 7, pretty easy call. Here, where it's right on the 7, do you stay in? Do you get out? It's a tough call. If you stay in, yeah, you're going to risk a little bit more if you're still in the trade. If you're bullish on it, you're going to have a little bit more to risk. If you stay in, it runs higher tomorrow, you'll be seen as that. You're glad you held. It's just one of those. It's just tough to say. All right, I'm just reading through some of the. Halliburton, that thing just keeps going lower. It just keeps going lower. That's one of those plug your nose and hope it keeps going lower trades, but it's likely to have some support between 48.9 and 48 is where it could be, but no, there's just no sign here. It's just below the 7 and keeps going below the 7. Any hope of a reversal is going to come between 48 and 49. It gets to those levels, we're talking lower 40s. It is way oversold. If I go down here, if I put on, I want to see where this is at. So I put in the CCI, which is a nice indicator to help show you this. So extreme oversold conditions is when that CCI is below a negative 200. It's not extreme, but it's still oversold, reading down there below 100. RSI still not over down there in the 30, down to below the 30 range. So these two are saying it's not extremely oversold, but yeah, I definitely agree with you. It is. It's oversold. With Win, we got out Friday. Yeah, we got out last Friday. If you're still in the trade, hey, nice job. Wick, if you're still in that trade, pat yourself on the back. It's still in the upper Bollinger Band. It's above 180. Holy cow. It still looks strong. Yeah, we got out last Friday. So good job. And then some of you guys have got back into it and still done well on it. It's still, it's got all the signs of going higher still. But yeah, we took the profits, moved on, and looking elsewhere right now. Let me. SanDisk. Now, when I would do straddles and strangle trades, this was a stock I'd always look at. This one tend to have the bigger moves on earnings. And looking there in October, the tough thing. I mean, I don't do them anymore, guys. The straddles and strangles. It's hit and miss. There's so much that happens in applied volatility spikes, and you got to have the stock make a big move for you, one direction or another. There's just a lot of variables. They can work, and I know that some of you do them and they work, and that's fine. But we won't do them here just because you can't really set up the risk reward, and it's just kind of iffy. We'll go for the more solid type of entries. We will occasionally, once we got some profits built in, and you heard us talk about CLF, where we're going all or nothing trade, take a small amount of what we have in the overall account, and it's got to be profits, and we would put it all into an all or nothing trade. We did one on CLF. We bought weekly options like on a Tuesday night. They expired on Friday, paid off for us, but only on profits. What we'll do is kind of that kind of stuff. Okay. Other stocks you want to look at. So SNDK, I got talking about straddle. I didn't look at the stock. Sorry about that. Uh, there's not a clear entrance signal here today. If you're thinking of getting in, there is resistance, a little bit of resistance right here around the 69. It's sold off at that level 2 days in a row here. The volumes aren't all that big moving up to it. It might consolidate here back to the 7. Uh, the bigger level is going to be 70 here. It just about got that today, but didn't quite make it. As far as an entrance signal, again, there's not one here today. And that's what we look for. You could say, yeah, bull vibe signal yesterday, right? It gapped higher and ran higher. You got all the averages rising. The MACD is not rising, but look, it's got a higher low here. It looks like it's going to give a bullish signal. This might keep going, but as far as an entrance right here, right now, um, I don't see it. I like the fresher moves, pushes up through the 7 like that. If I was in a trade here, I don't think I'd get out. If I was bullish on it, I don't think I'd get out. If it came back towards the 7 and dropped below that, I'd exit. But right here now, if I was in a trade bullish, don't get out. Watch it up towards the $70 mark. On Deere, that news that they got that day changed everything for Deere. It doesn't matter if you had a price pattern here that it could shoot up another. I think it was about $3 on a break higher. That changed everything. They're buying back another $8 billion worth of shares, more than what they were already buying back. Um, are they buying in here? Probably. Is the stock running? You bet. That's great news. The shares are being taken off the market, and they're going to be worth more, and that's what we're seeing here. Jeez. This is one of those trades. If you did a trade on Deere, put less money into it, close your eyes, and hope it keeps running. It probably will. But as far as an entry right here, you know, it would be I'd consider it chasing, but it's still in the upper band like that. But again, if you put less money into it, it could likely just to keep going higher for you. but it'd be it put into the trade a lot less than what you normally would. Now, do you guys in Hal? Are you in calls or puts? I'm hoping puts. Tell me you're holding puts on Hal. I just went silent here. So yeah, if you're holding puts here, watch the level here at 49, 48. This is a little bit of a spinning doji. There's been a little bit of support slash resistance over here around this level right here. Watch it here. If it gets through those levels, it's really going. It's going down towards the 45, another $3 or so. And that's if it gets through 48. All right. Just read through the chats. Green Mountain. Oh man, nice. If you're in this trade, congrats. Let me bring in. I don't think this is not all trades have to be Vibe or Trend Writer, right? That's kind of the thing that I do here. But well, yeah, all kinds of signals. If I was in this trade bullish, stay in. It's not that far. Well, it's about $3 away from seven, so it is a little ways away from the seven. There's some chance of some consolidation here. 74, yeah, it could be a little bit of if I bring the 74 level here, you can see it. It was resistance over in this point. Support through this area right here, and it kind of played around that area right through there. It's a 74 is a decent level for it. So if I had a profit and it's going up to the 74 mark, I wouldn't hesitate. I couldn't argue taking the gain. You know me. Hey, if you took the gain today, I'm happy for you. That's how you make money in the market. I look at I look at investing like baseball, and I know we got some sports fans out there, but who wins the most games in a season? Is it the team that hits the most home runs, or the team that hits the most singles? Right? I can hear you guys saying it's the team that hits the most singles out there, right? Well, if you're hitting singles over and over and over again, occasionally you're going to hit a double or a triple, knock one out of the park. And that's here with the challenge. We're going for the doubles, the triples, and things like that. We try to push the trades a little bit further than we might normally push trades to get those oversized gains. All right. If you keep your stops fairly tight and you abide by your stops, you can accomplish great things out there in the stock market by putting the odds in your favor, only entering when you put the odds in your favor, and then sticking by the rules. Okay, so today, sorry, I got exited Microsoft. Yeah, it's still down there. You know, if you're holding on to it, couldn't argue it. But we exited, saw what we did. It just changes the bullish nature. It doesn't mean the bull run is over because it's been a nice bull run. It just changes things. If you get a nice push back up through it tomorrow, it'd be another bull vibe entrance, bull vibe signal, and could go higher. Okay, so but you saw what we did and we got out. MJN, and if I miss one of your stocks, I apologize. You can just chat that back in there. MJN, top three from a while ago. It's just below the seven now. This is another tough call. So it's below the seven. Is it below support there at 85? No, it's not below the support there at 85. So it's one of those tough calls, and you hear me say it. There's some tough calls, and this is one of them. It's still got an uptrend, hasn't broken any big levels of support on it yet. The volumes are a little bit light down here. It's holding the prior level of support, but it's closing below the 7. Do you hold it? Do you hang on? That's the question you get to make as traders. That's the answer that you got to come up with as a trader. It's a tough call. It is. If you hold it, yeah, you're risking a little bit more in the trade because it might run through the seven tomorrow. If it bounces higher, you're going to be thinking yourself that you didn't get out. It's a tough call. The indicators right now, the signals, there's nothing telling us what it's going to do tomorrow. When this went on my top three, it was a bull vibe entrance from that day right there. Push up above a prior resistance there. All the averages were rising. I don't have the vibe in here, but it was a vibe bull signal. And closed below the 7. Well, looking like it's doing it today. So if I zoom in on that, you can see all the where the signal was. I circle it right through there. All the averages rising, the candle rising, indicators rising, the MACD as well. Nice signal. It ran up and it's just rolled over a little bit. It's closing just under where we got in there. Yeah, and you could also say it's retesting 85. If 85 breaks, it could push it higher. So it depends on how lenient you want to be with your stop. I mean, it's very close to the stop. If 85 holds, you have another bull vibe signal right there. Another good looking signal. You're welcome. I love you guys. In case you can't tell, I love looking at charts. I could do this all day. But yeah, look at that. There you go. Now, this is one of those stocks where, yeah, pure, I mean, this is by every ounce of the definition, a bull vibe signal. It's got even big volumes on the move. Okay, is there anything wrong with the signal? No. Nothing wrong with the signal itself. Likely going to run higher. The risk here is look how far it's away from the 7 already. You guys heard me say it when you get those giant moves. If I'm in the trade, let's say I saw this early on and I enter the trade right through here, and heck yeah, I mean, let's hang on and enjoy the ride. Where I'm getting into it now, it's about $1.50 above the 7. It just changes the risk reward a little bit. I'm going to be paying more for the options. The 7's quite a ways below me. If I put a stop here, I'd probably put it at 67. If I'm in the trade, great, hang on to it. But if I'm looking to enter right here, just the risk is a little bit higher because it's above the 7, paying more for the options. It can keep running, you bet. There's good chances it could run up towards the $70 level. It just changes the risk a little bit. Okay, so that's the only thing I could say about that setup. It just changes the risk, and that's we did the same thing on Baidu yesterday, right? Baidu, we looked at that for the challenge. It was clear. It was clear up there, and let me go zoom in on this. Yesterday, it was way up there when we were looking at it in the upper Bollinger Band, just away from the 7. The options were a little bit overpriced, but did that matter? I heard you guys saying that you got out at 100% return. The options overpriced didn't matter. This thing just went ballistic today. Okay, and that same thing might happen there on CVS. It's a good looking setup. Check the news. There's likely some kind of news. If not, it's just some big buyers. Yeah, the top 3 today. And this is one of them is Mosaic here. Trend Rider bearish signal. It's breaking in the lower Bollinger Band. You can see the RSI here breaking through 50. The Bollinger Bands are expanding is what you want to see. Had some big volumes yesterday. That's going to help push this thing lower. It's also breaking out of a channel. It's been in here for a while between 46 and 48. Now, when stocks break out of a channel like that, 46 to 48, it's been channeling for over a month, for about a month. When they break out of a channel like that, they can go the distance between the channel that we've been seeing. Those are the $2 difference here. Remember I put the price target right around 44, maybe even 43. Gets down to that 44 range is where I'd look to get out. That's one of them. And then the other top 3 was Time Warner. It's good to look back over these one last time here. Okay, so with Time Warner, this is a bull vibe signal. Rising indicators. That's not a rising line, but the indicators are uptrending. You've got all of the averages uptrending as well, right? Also, you notice the bullish breakout 2 days ago, and then the big sell yesterday. That's pretty frightening. If they jumped in on that trade, you should have been out today on a frightening candlestick. But look what it did today. Reversed, and that's pretty much a bullish engulfing pattern. It's not quite. It's another candle pattern which is very bullish. Got a pretty look at the bottom right in here. About the $65.50 level has been support for it. Pushing up off that level. It went right to it yesterday, pushing back up today, up through the 7. It's got some strong volumes, which makes the trade even look a little bit more juicy on Time Warner. And I've talked about the options here. I would normally go 2 strikes in if I'm going December. The second strike in is way overpriced. It's almost double the price of the first strike in. If I was to go December options, I would do like very few contracts, a lot less than you normally do, and I'd be out by Friday. I just play a quick pop here and get out. Okay, on that one. RD Broadcom. Oh, you guys. I've been watching Broadcom for a long time, and I didn't check to see if there was news. thanks, thanks Vegas. I didn't check to see if there was news on this. I apologize. But it had a nice little candle yesterday. I didn't buy these other two. I looked at it both of these days. I put in my runner-ups, I believe, last week. I had to double check, but it just went up and sold off during the day. And I didn't look at it yesterday. And yesterday, to me, was more verification of this thing running. And with the volumes there could have been news. We could go check. But that's a good looking signal. Now, a close right here. This is one of those candles it's an area, they represent an area of indecision. It's a battle between the bulls and the bears. The bears trying to drag it down, the bulls trying to take it higher, and it's just almost closing break even on the day. Could it pull back to 28 and retest that level? It could. Could it run up to 29 to 30? Yeah. It's just one of those things. If I was in a trade today and I had a nice gain, no problem taking it off. I wouldn't have any problem taking it off, taking the gain, holding it. I couldn't argue that either. It just comes down to the personal decision. I mean, nothing's saying bearishness here. It's a ways from the 7, but it's still in the upper band. It could retest that 37, the $28 level. But that's a nice looking breakout. It could go higher. Let me just check really fast. Not earnings. There you go. There's the news. They raised their Q4 revenue guidance at Analyst Day, so that's the news on it. Okay. So that's what pushed it higher, but it had a nice looking signal yesterday. It's fun to be in those trades. I'm sure if you've been in the market long enough, you've got it into a nice trade, and all of a sudden it pops on you. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? And then you can also get trades like Microsoft. Nice looking setup, and it just goes against us the next day. You just take it and run. Don't sit there and dwell on what we could have done or what we should have done, things like that. And coming down the road, we got out small loss here. I almost said it again. Got out a small loss here, and we're moving on, looking for a juicier setup. I think I had you at juicy again too, Vegas. We're looking for a juicier setup come tomorrow. We're definitely going to be looking to make a trade for the challenge again tomorrow. Okay. Tesla sold off a little bit here. Not worried about it. Still looking for this thing to run higher. Yes, Adam's money. Just as I'm talking about, yeah, we're going to stay in Tesla. I'm not worried about it here. Still above the 7, still above 140, still like this higher. Okay, I just want to take a quick glance at the market. The market towards the lows, not at the lows. And what we got 2 minutes left, so it's going to close near the lows. It's still, you guys, this little move right, yeah, you guys, we'll look at some more stocks. These moves like this on the S&P, these tiny moves, the smaller moves, bullish. All we're doing here, 1800. It's not a magical level. Really to me, the bigger level for the S&P to break before I got overly bearish is right there at 1780. That's a bigger level technically. This push above 1800, right now we're just retesting it. It retested over here. Retest failed. Now we're trying it again. If 1800 level can hold, or even if it doesn't make it back to 1800, if you see this type of action tomorrow, the next day, something like that, we're off to new highs again. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. The reason I say 1780, that's a bigger level for it. And I talked about it a little bit this morning. I saw one of these articles. Possible triple top pattern, a very bearish pattern. This big mean sounding article. Whatever you want to call that. Triple top, head and shoulders. For this to confirm, it's 1780. And these have been pretty accurate on the S&P. If you go back and look at the start of the financial crash, it started with a head and shoulders pattern, technically. And then all the rest came out, right? All the news and all that kind of stuff came out, and it just drove the market down. Doesn't mean we're going to go in another one of those if it closes below 1780, but I'm not bearish unless it closes that far down. Nucor, man, if you're in here, stay in it. Oh, AK for a second there, I thought you said Nucor just rocking me, and I'm thinking, oh no. Uh, no, it's still rocking, right? Yeah. Yeah, it still looks good. I mean, look at this. Bring in the Bollinger Bands here. Yeah, the bands are contracting, but they're a long ways off. Watch it and see if it can't get through the $53 area. Right around this range, right between 53 and a half and 53 is where I'd look to exit and take a gain if you got it there. I think you do. Yeah, NUE was from about a week ago in my top 3 from last Wednesday on this right here. That push right there above the 7. It's a strong looking move. Had a lot of volume going for it. Same type of price action over here and over here on these pullbacks. Well, we're getting the same thing on this one. If it gets through that 53 level with not much of a problem, 54 in that upper band is where it's going. Okay, but just watch it closely. Guys, I'm sorry. I know you've been putting stocks in there for me to see. Put them back in. I know I haven't hit them all. IWM. So again, put them in. IWM. Okay, thanks you guys. So overall, if we draw a trend line right up through there, where are we sitting? We're sitting right on the overall trend line. So this is an important level. It broke through the 7 today. That's short-term bearish. Takes the bullish nature off. If you get a move back up through the 7 come tomorrow and off this trend line, then we're off and running again. If it closes below the trend line here, what happened a lot of times, you can see 111 there, some resistance in the past, likely to be support for it. But what happens a lot of times when stocks break below the trend line, same with other areas of support and resistance, is they'll pull back up to it and retest it. If it goes back up through it after a little bit of a pullback, it's very bullish in nature. If it pulls back down, bounces back off the 7, so something like that. I mean, sorry, not the 7, but the average right there, very bearish and could likely take this down. But overall, the trend's still there. It's just at a turning point. It's below the 7, yet right on the major trend line. So that's another one of those decisions that we got to make. Okay, yeah, it closed below the 7, but it's not breaking the major trend line here. It's still above 111, which is past resistance, testing that level again. Do you hang on to it? Do you sell out? When you trade, the best thing you can do is try to stick to your plan. If it's a close below the 7, get out on a close below the 7. Sometimes it's right on the 7, makes it tougher. And if this goes back up, like I said, if this bounces back up above the trend line there, it's going to bounce up above the 7, above the 112 mark, and it could put you right back in the trade to run higher. Yeah, MDT. top three from a couple days ago. Yeah, last Friday. Closed below the sevens, got a little bit of of a gravestone down here. So this, once again, it's below the seven. It's right on support there. Let me zoom in on that. Right here. It's been a level of support slash resistance for it for quite a while. It's right on that, but it's below the seven. What do you do? If it goes below tomorrow, yeah, you'd be risking a little bit more by holding it tonight. Yet if it does one of these, and I'd like to see it, you don't see them very often. If it does one of these, if you get a gap up tomorrow and a little candle like that, that's an abandoned baby. One of Jeff's all-time favorite candle patterns, and they become one of mine over the years too. It's a very bullish pattern. They're pretty rare to see, but if you get these abandoned candle patterns, which could happen. Now this is not a very good one. Well, there's a couple here. Not the best one right here. But see how it gapped lower on that day and then the next day ran higher? See what happens? Up here, again, not the best example either, but another abandoned candle pattern. But this is on the top. Okay, it gaps higher and the next day gaps lower. Okay, fairly accurate, but not perfect. So like anything in the market, right? It's not perfect. So that's one of those testers. You get out because it's below the seven, that was your stop. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. Could you stay in because it's not breaking into big support levels and it's got a little possible, it's a little area of indecision down there? Yeah, couldn't argue that either. It's those are tough individual decisions that we get to make as traders, and a lot of times it's easy, right? You look at Microsoft. Hey, a clear close below the seven, easy. Could you argue to stay in the trade? Yeah, it didn't close below 38, which was support for it. Okay, but it just took the trade away. We didn't want to get caught in limbo again in another trade. If it pushes back up above 38 tomorrow and above the 7, we might re-enter. Just not taking any chances. Walmart. Yeah, a little bit of a flag, a bear flag there that took place. So here is where the news came out, and this was a top three. Forgive me, it's been a while for this one. It might have been right there, but it's been a while. But that right there, the only thing I could come up with that day as far as news goes was a raise in the unemployment. Sorry, not a raise in unemployment. A raise in the minimum wage. They wanted to hike that up, hike the minimum wage up, which would hurt these retailers. This and Target and some of the others went down that day. This is pretty bearish price action here, where you see it today run lower than the first, the prior level that it held as a support level. Pretty bearish here on Walmart. Not an entrance signal today. Well, it's too late now anyways. If you did buy puts here, I couldn't argue it. 79, really the bigger level down here for this. Looking past, this is way down there. It's at 77.5, which for Walmart's a couple dollars lower. It could hit that. If you bought puts here, if you had calls, I hope you didn't. Hope you got out when it closed up here below the 7 or here when it ran below the 7. But yeah, I mean, it looks really bearish. This could come down. Yeah, you look where the lower band is too. The lower band's right around the 77.5 mark also, and that's where past resistance was, which it could come down to that level. It's not a vibe or a trend rider signal, but a very bearish candle pattern that could take this thing a lot lower. Okay, 3D. Hey, nice. So 3D, let me bring this in through the vibe. So it's not, I mean, you can't see the MAC. Oh yeah, you can. You can see that MACD. So it's not a perfect signal, but I couldn't argue this one at all. The MACD is not, it's not rising, but it's leveling off. It could go higher. The thing I like about this is the bull vibe signal. You still have the rate of change here breaking up through zero, which is a positive for it. That's strong volume, and the fact that it ran up here past the highs, recent highs right here, good looking bull vibe. If you entered here today, couldn't argue it at all. Use the 77.5 mark as the stop. That's about right where the 7 is, and just stick with it. But right now, that's a nice looking signal. And good job. It's not a trend rider, but that's okay. It's a bull vibe, good looking bull vibe on some good volumes. Likely to maybe a trend rider tomorrow. I like the signal. Good job, Wick. Yeah, you guys are doing that. I know when I was learning quite a while ago the trend rider and the vibes, I was always telling Jeff, hey, look at this, and I was testing to see where my knowledge was of finding the signals along with his, and that's what you guys are doing. I'm all for it. I love looking at charts, so keep them coming. But yeah, it's a good looking signal, Wick. I like it. How far could it go? If it breaks up through 80, and this is a higher dollar stock, 82.5 not out of the mark towards 85, could easily go on that volume. That's a nice looking setup right there. Hey Martin, we'll see you later, and I'm going to hop off here myself. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we're going to be looking for another challenge trade tomorrow. We're still in our position on Tesla. Exited the other one on Microsoft there. Yep, Tesla still looks fine technically. Looking for more upside there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you guys in the morning. Have a great night. Bye bye.